Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself, Charlie. Reminder before the video starts, please like, please comment and please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Now, it was the end of the Autumn Nation series on Saturday. I did get my predictions out in time, which was rather annoying. I'm not going to say I got them all right. We've got South Africa, Wales coming up at the weekend. That's technically out of the international window. So it has ended. New Zealand are going to head home. England are going to head back to their Prem clubs. France has stopped. Australia has stopped. And everyone else, apart from obviously South Africa, Wales, it is over for them. And I think it was a really interesting series of games. We had some surprises. Obviously, Italy beating the Wallabies was top of that. Italy also pushing South Africa for a vast majority of that game before South Africa pulled clear. I think we've got some other interesting talking points, interesting storylines to come out of it. Are England now the second best team in the world? Are they the main challengers to the Springboks? There's a lot that I'm going to sort of discuss in this video because I think it was a real interesting series of games. We're not far out, from a World Cup. So, again, real pointer towards how that competition could head in the next few years. I think coming out of it, I think we can all agree their performance on Saturday, although was not the most appealing to watch at times, I think we can all agree South Africa were and are still the best team in the world by quite a distance. I think they're the team to beat. They do what they need to do. Is it pretty at all times? No. But does that matter to them? No. We see that. We know Rassie Erasmus doesn't care how they win as long as they win. I think this autumn they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. They went to France. It looked for all the money in the world that everything was against them, especially with Luc de Jager's red card. They came through that. They went to Italy. Again, it looked like things were up against them. It didn't matter. They managed to get through that. They then came and played up against Ireland. They grinded out a win. More on Ireland did a bit. And you'd fully expect them to go to Wales and maybe let themselves loose a little bit and probably put 40 points on Wales. And that's no offence to Wales. I think with the World Cup coming up, they have got to be favourites to do the three-peat and warm favourites at that. As for their challengers, it's really interesting. I think it's a real shame England aren't playing the Springboks. And it's a bit gutting because England look to be, for all the money in the world, now the second best team in the world. They beat New Zealand, they beat Argentina, they obviously beat Australia as well. The Fiji game, they won that one. They've cruised through really these autumn internationals and I think have done it and discovered some new stars. I don't think yet England are a settled team. I think there's still a lot of improvements to come. But I think for the most part, England could be quietly confident. Now, obviously, next year there's this Nations Championship. What that's going to look like, how much that's going to mean, we don't know. But England will probably look at that and see that as a chance to really lay down a marker, especially with the final at Twickenham. They'll want to be in that. I'd love to have seen us against the Boks because I think we're still probably a level below the Boks, but I think everyone's a level below the Boks at the minute. There's other teams as well. France are a weird team at the moment, I think. They're threatening brilliance, but they're not quite there yet. I think the trouble with France is that they really undercooked themselves in the summer going to New Zealand because of the schedule. They went with a second string team. They've then undercooked themselves to the Boks game. They've then had to rebuild. The Fiji game was tough. We always knew that was going to be tough. The Australia game as well was a tough one, but they came through that. I just think they've undercooked themselves really, but again, you'd expect, I think, the Six Nations, they're going to be a threat. They're obviously going to play England in France. So that will be something that will give them the confidence to hopefully maybe win the Six Nations. And they'll be aiming for that. But they've got some fantastic young players coming through France. And they're, again, going to be a threat in 2027. They're going to be a real threat. Louis Barrel-Barry. The back line, they're so innovative. They're so fun to watch. It's absolutely fantastic. Talking of young, Ireland, not young. And I think we had confirmation. I know the Australia result would differ or beg to differ. But I think we had confirmation, these autumn internationals, that they are on the decline. These players have served their country so well. I just think, unfortunately, their time has come. And Andy Farrell's probably going to be scrambling around this next year and a bit to try and find players that can replace them. If not, I think he's going to be headed into the 2027 World Cup with an old team and a team that's going to be really vulnerable. South Africa controlled them and contained them really well. We saw New Zealand break away from them and break clear of them in Chicago. Yes, there was the win over Australia and the win over Japan. The Japan game showed what the players that are coming through are going to play like. They need to play them more now. It's going to be hard, but that's going to have to happen, because if not, like I say, I think they're an old team and I think they're in decline. I think we knew that from the Lions series, the amount of Irishmen that went there, and it didn't look great at times. And I think we still know that they're on the slide. There was other promising moments though. I thought Fiji and Argentina, we can probably stop calling Argentina underdogs. We probably need to stop calling them that. They beat Scotland, they beat Wales. They were close against England, really close. And there's a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect in that game, officiating and the line out at the end. But all in all, yeah, just fantastic from them, really. They're no longer the underdogs. And what a achievement it is as far as they're concerned, because they are still a team that don't have their players in the domestic league. They play a lot of them in France or in England. They have to come together. They come together and they play basically all their careers away from Argentina, and yet they're still producing the results they are. And as for Fiji, if they had a second scrummaging unit, they're a threat to anyone as well. They're so entertaining to watch. I love watching the Fijians play rugby. Who doesn't? And I think they are literally, like I say, 1 or 2 away from potentially really starting to break and just settle into that new world order. I was a bit disappointed with the Aussies. I thought after the Lions series, are they on the come up? And whether it's just been too long a year for them, you'd be able to see that if, you know, the Lions tour must have been mentally fatiguing, and then the Rugby Championship where they improved. To then go into this series, there was flashes, glimpses of brilliance, but all in all, it wasn't very promising. I still think they're a young team that are on the up, and same with their neighbours, New Zealand, who it'd be wrong not to mention. Again, a young team, a work in progress. With New Zealand, I think they're building. I feel like they're on the cusp. I really do. I feel like they're on the cusp of doing something brilliant. They just need that one. I don't know, maybe it's the coaching, maybe it's the coaches. Do they need some a bit more international experience as an assistant? I don't know, but I do feel like they're not far off. Scotland as well, and Wales. Wales, there's a heartbeat to Wales. They showed that against New Zealand. There's a real heartbeat there. They just need to, I don't know, they need to sort a lot out in Wales. There needs to be a lot sorted out behind the scene. But you know what? That's not the players' fault. Can't help but feel good for them. There's a heartbeat there. There's definitely something for Steve Tandy to work with. I don't think things are going to be as bad as they are for long. As for Scotland, all eyes are going to look to that Argentina and the New Zealand game. You know, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Whether it's a Gregor Townsend problem, whether it's a personnel issue, I don't know. Is it a mentality issue? I don't know. I think for Scotland, have they maybe missed a chance? Are these players now maybe slightly past it, for want of a better word? And if they are, have they maybe missed the chance they had to do some real damage at the top table of rugby? Who knows? There was other promising results for Tier 2 nations. Spain pushed England A and Fiji. Spain are potentially the next up-and-comer in rugby, and that would be absolutely fantastic to see. Obviously, we've had the Nations Cup announced, but Tonga was disappointed. They're really ill-disciplined against Scotland. That was the only international they played, which was, again, bizarre. I know that there's stuff going on behind the scenes. But like I say, all in all, it was an interesting Nations series, and there was a lot to talk about, a lot to digest, and I'll try to cover it all in one video. I still think the Boks are on top, but there's a fair few that are chasing. 2027 isn't going to be a walk for them. As always, guys, please like, please comment, please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Have a great day. Thank you.